What's up, Inkie peeps? It's Adele from Inkie Quill, and today we're playing with some alcohol inks. Now, these are a mixed media product that I haven't had too much experimentation with. I will admit I've only used them twice, and I think you've seen both of the times that I've done so. So this was a gamble. I wasn't sure if this was going to work, but I freaking love how it turned out, and it was super easy, very simple to replicate with some products that can be a little bit pricey. So I would recommend, if you are starting off with this, to get a small pad of this paper. So this special paper is called Yupo, YUPO. I'm not quite sure of the spelling, but it's pricey. So this small pad, I think it had the price on it, but it was definitely more than $10 for not many sheets. I was able to find Aaron actually found me an A3 sized pad of this paper that's a knockoff brand. It's not the real brand, and it was much cheaper. So if you're in Australia, check Embellies for a cheaper alternative. And then you just need some alcohol inks. So that's what all of the little coloured bottles there. I find that having a gold in your collection is really nice, and a white is also fun to play with. And then just pick your favourite colours. I have a lot of different colours. You definitely don't need this many. I would suggest getting, 3 to 5 different colours to start off with, and then broadening your selection if you enjoy the technique, the medium. The other thing that I'm using, you can see in that big bottle, is blending solution. And what this does is it changes the property of the alcohol inks, and it makes everything smush around. And if you drop it on there like drippy droppy, it makes a really fun circle, kind of like a starburst technique. I will admit, it's very tempting to just go and go and go and go with these alcohol inks. It's quite mesmerizing. It's kind of like a lava lamp. You know how you can look at a lava lamp for just a really long time and then not realize that you've looked at it for so long? It's a very similar type thing. So this time I tried something that I've never tried before. I found this on Pinterest, and someone had used a straw to blow and make the alcohol ink move around the page, and this was so fun. I really enjoyed this technique. It did make me quite breathless. So I probably wouldn't suggest doing it if you are doing too many of them in a row. I would suggest spacing it out a little bit. Or if you are heavily pregnant, I definitely would not recommend this, because you do get a bit lightheaded. But it's just a really fun way to make the colours blend around the page. I tried to stick to colours that I knew that I loved and colour combinations that I knew that I loved. I am obsessed with this hot pink. It's so bright and a little bit fluoro, and I've really been enjoying how the yellow mixes with the pink. I did get a couple of muddy patches, which I'll show you in a little bit, and my secret to letting them fix themselves, I guess you could say, is this white. It's very easy to fix with white. By just putting the white alcohol ink over the top, it kind of dulls everything down, and then you can let it dry for a little moment and start from scratch again. The blending solution is also really good to put on any areas that you don't really like, because it kind of wipes it a little bit, dilutes it, and kind of gives you a bit of a fresh start. So this is when I had fun making these like jellyfish looking little blobs, and these worked out really well for the DIY embellishments that we're going to make in a moment. So I wanted to try, I hadn't tried making embellishments with alcohol ink or mixed media paper like this before, and so I wanted to try something a little bit different. And I have included, if you haven't watched the Inkie June Printables collection reveal video, which goes up at the same time as this video, yet I have included 3 pages of the background, so you can punch your own shapes and go from there. I've included 2 pages of punched shapes with these backgrounds. And then I've also included 2 pages of completed DIY embellishments, so you don't have to lift a finger except for scissors to cut out the embellishments, or your finger to press your die cutting machine if you have a digital die cutting machine that cuts them out for you. So I wanted to make sure that I gave you a few different options to play with if you didn't have access to alcohol inks, or you didn't want to add them to your collection just yet because you weren't sure if you enjoyed them. I gave you some backgrounds so you can already have a bit of a play around. I hope you like that. Please let me know what you do with the backgrounds. I'd love to see. I think they're kind of funky, you know, they're very bright, very, very bright. I am looking forward to including one of them for a bit of a Christmas layout that isn't very traditional. So that's my plan, because to me, this page in particular is very summery. It's the bright, whenever I see bright yellow, I think of summer, and because Christmas, of course, here is in the middle of boiling hot heat. It's the perfect colour combination to use for all my Christmas pics. So then this page, I just kept going. I needed to stop, and I could recognise when I got to this point that I kind of needed to rein it in. So I walked away from that one. I was trying to replicate this page on the left because I loved the way it turned out. It was quite difficult to work on the larger piece. You can see there I was just using like a postcard that I had in my stash to move the colour around a little bit, just so that I didn't waste too much alcohol ink, I guess you could say. And then I get blowing and adding the blending solution in a little bit. I would definitely recommend starting, even if you do buy the larger pad of paper, the Yupo paper, I would definitely suggest cutting it down into smaller sections. It makes it so much easier. These 2 larger pieces of paper were a lot harder to do, and I did struggle with them a lot more. So definitely cut them down if you can. I think this little one, it's smaller than A5 size. So it's bigger than 4x6. It might be 5x7 inches possibly. And it was a really good size to work with. So definitely start small. So then here, I had a few areas down here. You can see I'm just adding I added a bit of white to that bit there. And then I wanted to make sure that I added a few little interesting bits, because my plan was to punch out this large piece of paper as well. In the end, I didn't need to. I had so many punch shapes. You know, when you make DIY embellishments and you're like, oh, that's not many punch shapes, we'll just keep going. No, I ended up with a lot of punch shapes. So much so that I filmed half of them and I didn't film the other half because there were so many that I made. Here, I decided to grab my electric typewriter and I typed up a few kind of generic, happy, quotey little phrases that I was going to use in my embellishments. This would be really fun to do if you had a specific mini album in mind or a celebration that you were making them for. They would be really fun to do like a birthday collection. You could do really fun bright colours like this and add birthday themed little tiny word strips like celebrate and cheers. Or if you were going travelling and you knew that, say if you were travelling to the beach, you could use yellows and blues, and you can make some travel themed phrases for those as well. So this is what the backgrounds turned out like. So I ended up putting those larger ones to the side just for a moment. I grabbed my handy dandy punches. My goodness, these guys get a lot of use. I will say though, my little beloved 1-inch Fiskars circle punch, it's not going so well. It keeps not cutting through things. So I don't know if I need to sharpen it or what. It doesn't have the strength, and I feel like I'm going to break it every time that I touch it, which isn't very good. Oh, now here I do a bit of a blooper, but I left it in. I also wanted some tags, and I recently bought this tag die cut set from scrapbook.com. I filmed a haul video, but I always get a lot of thumbs down on YouTube for haul videos. So I've got like 3 haul videos that I've filmed and haven't uploaded because I've gotten too nervous and anxious and overthought it too much. So if you'd be interested in a haul video, let me know, because I have 3 of them just sitting there. I might combine them into one maybe. But here I put what I thought was the center of the tag in. Alas, it was the ring for the tag, and I've now got a giant gaping tag hole. So I decided to snip the top of that tag and just make it into a rectangle. And here I find the proper little tag hole that slips very sweetly into the top of the die cut. Running it through my die cutting machine is the Jane Davenport one. I'm not sure, it's got a special name, but it's really handy because it does fold up. It's a lot less bulky than my Big Shot is. The bunnies also kind of destroyed my Big Shot. It's not in the best condition. It's been eaten. All of the rubber bits have been chewed off. So I think it's definitely time to retire the Big Shot. So then I was trying to figure out if there were any longer phrases. I was trying to keep the longer phrases for these tags just because I had a little bit more room. But these really did come along a lot quicker than my previous DIY embellishment videos have. And if you're a new Patreon peep, I have got several other DIY embellishment videos in my Patreon video stash. I've been on here for 2 years next month. So there's, I think, if I do at least 8 videos a month times 24, that's there'd be probably 200 videos over here on Patreon, which is ridiculous. Am I doing that maths right? Yeah, I am. I think, which is a ridiculous amount. And there's several embellishment videos. If you go to the Inkie Quill, the homepage on Patreon, you'll be able to search by tag, and there's a DIY embellishment tag that you can find. So then I worked through one by one, and all I grabbed, I love to keep my supplies. Oh, excuse me, Mr. Phone. I thought you were on silent. I do like to keep my supplies to a kind of a minimum, if possible, when making embellishments, just because you can get very carried away, and I have definitely done that in the past. And I find that I end up making embellishments that either don't make me completely happy because I feel like they are made of bits and pieces that don't belong together, or it takes way too long. I get frustrated, and then I have a whole lot of these just punched backgrounds left over with nothing on them because I've taken an hour to make 4 embellishments, and I get too bored with that. So all I've got are my tiny little typewritten, no, it's not type-wrote, that's for sure, typed, let's just say typed. That's probably the right word to use, Adele. I've got my little typed words that I'm just cutting out as I need them. I knew that if I cut them out all first, I would definitely lose them. And so I decided to just cut them as I go. I also punched out some gold glitter hearts and stars. I just grabbed my glitter cardstock. I think it was from Spotlight, pretty sure. It's the Bella something or other brand. Bella New? No, I'm making that up. It's Bella something. And it's a nice chunky gold glitter. Oh, and circles. I also did circles. And then I've also just got my trusty white Uniball Signo Broad gel pen, which actually I was a little bit unsure as to how it was going to write on top of the alcohol inks. I should add that I left mine to dry. I did leave mine to dry overnight. That's just because of the timing of when I started filming one video and then filmed the other half of this video. But I would definitely suggest letting them dry for a little bit. They don't take too long to dry. They dry quite quickly. But definitely make sure that they are dry before you get that pen on there, because you will kill your pen very, very quickly. When I was typing up my little phrases, I kept some lowercase. I did some title case, I think it's sentence case, that's what it's called, with a capital at the start. I did some all caps, and then I did some all caps with spaces in between, just to vary it up, add a bit of spice to them, make them a little bit different. You could do this same thing just with tiny word stickers from your stash. I just wanted to make sure that they were my own tiny words so that I could use them for printables for you guys, because I can't use tiny word stickers from another company. But it was really nice, and it's a great way if you wanted to make things, like I said, that were specific. You could also add, if you were typing up your own ones, you could type them on your computer, and you could add family members' names or friends' names or places that you know you like to go, or things that are more specific and unique to you and your situation. That would be really cute to do. If you have any pets, you could do pets' names, and then you could just easily reach for them when you're doing your PL or any other paper crafting adventure. So then I'm going through and I'm trying to mix it up and do some of them with some of the tiny words with a gold background. I was using glossy accents because it has a really nice narrow tip, and I am very happy that Scotch, what do they call it, tacky glue now or quick dry glue? It was one and they changed it to the other. Whatever they call the Scotch glue that I usually use, they've changed their packaging. Thank goodness, because I struggled so much with chopping the top off that glue. It's now pre-chopped for you, and the nozzle is a lot thinner, which is nice, but it's definitely nowhere near as thin as the glossy accent. So that's why I opted for that this time. Also, gluing these words on top of the gold glitter was a little crispy. It was a little chunky. So I would suggest using wet glue if you are gluing it on top of glitter, not tape runner. Tape runners could be a little frustrating with such tiny strips as well. So these were really a breeze to go through, and I had a lot of fun using them. I've got them, like I said, in a little dish on my... Did I say that? No, I showed it in the reveal video. I've got a little dish on my desk that has them all sitting in it. I did accidentally use several of them before I remembered that I wanted to scan them for embellishment. So I managed to save some of them and scan them in for the printables for this month. But it was a really fun thing to do, and it would probably cost, if you didn't have any of the supplies to start off with, I would say that it would cost you Australian cost is a lot different, but you would be looking at like $40 or so to get you started with the Yupo paper and a couple of alcohol inks and the blending solution if you wanted to give it a try. But you could do the same thing with watercolor if you wanted to play with watercolor on a piece of paper and then punch out a whole lot of shapes and go from there, with acrylic, with any sort of painty, colourful medium that you wanted to, that you've got in your stash. I'm a big believer in testing out something before you jump all in, even though it's very tempting to often buy every color. I've done this with the Distress Oxides. They are something that I am so tempted to go and buy every color of, except for probably green. But I'm so tempted to, and I am trying not to, because I don't think it's a product that I feel comfortable reaching for a lot, just because I haven't had time to experiment with the couple that I've got already. So I definitely suggest, see if you have a friend or someone who has some in their stash that you could borrow, and see if you enjoy them before branching out and adding a ton to your stash, because you don't need the whole collection to have a bit of fun. So I'm almost finished here. Like I said, I carried on. I probably made these for about an hour and a half. I had some Real Housewives. I'm binge watching the old seasons of New York and loving them. So I had that on. So it was a really easy activity to do while vegging out to some TV. This would also be great to do after you, of course, did the alcohol ink part. You could do these on the couch at night. I'm all for any sort of couch scrapping, couch activity. sitting on my bottom, comfortable watching TV type paper crafting. And these are very easy because you don't need too many supplies once the background's done. So here they all are. I'm just going to show you a few of my faves. I hope you like them. That was so fun to do, and I really should do some more DIY embellishments videos more often. Let me know in the comments if there's any particular embellishments you'd like to see me do. I want to do some flags. I'm thinking of doing some flags in a couple of months' time. But if there's anything specific you'd like to see, let me know. All right, guys, I'll see you in the next video. Bye.